Hello, folks. The long awaited session is here, and I want to tell you a story about myself. So, hopefully, this is going to be a game changer, a turnaround to some of you if you can relate with my story. So, I will do this trading psychology in 4 sessions. Why? Because I really want to dive deeper on how I was able to conquer each and every step of my way to be who I am today. Because I know sometimes I look at comments and people are like, when will I get to these levels? I'm not the best, but I believe that by the end of the day, we all learn and grow and be better each and every single day than we were yesterday. So I want you to get into my shoes as we start this journey and dive into the first session. Let's call this one volume 1 because there's a lot to be covered, which I cannot just sit in or do it in a one sitting and completely exhaust everything. So, and I don't want also the video to be too long. Too much of something, you get dull and you not even watch it to completion, and maybe you will miss the most important thing. So I believe that you are here to learn and you want to hear my story and what actually happened. So in volume 4, I will now tell you what exactly happened and how I was able to do things differently. But before we get to the last bit, you have to start somewhere to develop your story so that people can relate with what you're happening. And you are going to realize in this first volume that maybe the things that you're going through are the same things, or the things that I went through are probably the same things that you're going through right away now. But by the end of it all, in the comment section, you will tell me whether you are me back then or you are next level. It's just a matter of listening and feeling on what we can do. So in this first episode or volume 1, I want to call this the inner battlefield. The inner battlefield. That thing that is inside you. You see, you have, PDRAs, liquidity, when price is bouncing back, when price is, retracing, not, these things. Then what might be the problem? So all the way, let's go back to me back then. Now, I'm a guy who never used to see things like just normal. I used to study things. I used to go deep into things. I used to do research. Yeah? That's why I love the verse Acts 17 verses 11 that the Bereans were of noble character. They never listened only to what Paul was teaching, but rather they went and searched the scriptures to find out whether the teachings were true. Right? If you have that spirit, then at least you are in a certain level where you can relate with my story. Okay? Now, number 1, this is me back then. I never knew who I was, to be honest. I was just a guy who wanted to make money and live a good life. So, primarily, I was pressing buy when it is going higher and pressing sell when it is going down. I'm a guy who bought MT5. That was very stupid. I'm a guy who was being sold some books, PDFs that you can access online free, but some guy used to sell them to me and I could get happy. Dopamine levels could shoot to the roof. But I realized that I was on the wrong path But before I realized that, you see now you've wasted amount of energy, time, your finances, purchasing things that never really helped me. So I was never aware of myself, to be honest. There's an element of I was lacking. I never knew who I was. So if I never knew who I was just there and being taken advantage of. Like now, I know some of you might be in that stage where you're just following blindly and being excited by seeing new things. Yeah, the shiny object syndrome. That was me back then. So what I was doing, number one, I was a person who was being affected by the recent. I could look at the chart and be so much concentrated in one section of the chart. Not like now. You see now, if I open a chart, I know when I'm supposed to do my top-down analysis from what time frame to what time frame. Now I know time frame. And back then, I used to depend on what has done, like today's price action only, and I try to make sense out of it, which was really something that ate into my life. Because you can imagine if you're looking on only a 15-minute chat without prior knowledge of what is happening in 1 hour, 4 hour, daily, and the weekly chat. So I was overcrowded by judgment, just wanting to analyze, and I was a victim of lower time frame because I wanted something quick. I never wanted to be in that chat for so long, so I could just go 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and try to fumble and seek for setups on that time frame. But you see, in 1 minute, it is going high very fast, and at the same time, it's going lower very fast. So most of the time, I used to be knocked out because I never knew what buyers was. Like, I never had a reason why price should rise and why price should fall. For example, I could see price, like, let's say this week price fell. The whole of this week we were selling. So I could sit and be like, if it was selling the whole of this week, then next week it is supposed to rise. So I'm awake at 00 midnight. Open, I'm on the charts, I'm pressing buys at that given point. You see, I was really a very poor trader when it came to knowledge. That's why currently I really know what I'm looking for in the charts. Back then, I was a guy who could not support my idea. I could not tell you why I'm buying. I could not tell you why I'm selling. Only thing I could do is just waiting for what happened this week. I will do the opposite next week. Man, that took everything from me. First, second, third accounts all blown because of zero knowledge of what I'm entering into, right? Number two, I was a guy who was so much concerned about the loss more than the profit trade. Like, I could hold on into a losing trade for so long that I'm blinded. Totally. Like, I'm blinded that this trade is going into my account too much. I should cut it off, right? So losses you really used to make me crawl. I don't know what some of you what you go through, but back then my losing positions were something else. They never sat well with me because from the things that I read in books, I knew just going in and making money and coming out. So I could actually sit there and watch price run all the way down deeper into my account, negatives.
very huge negatives. And you see now, because I was starting off, I wanted it quick, so I could go in with a bigger lot size because the accounts could manage. And then at the same given point, you see the moment you go in with a large position size, the quicker you're going to be wrecked also. So that was another problem that actually battled me or I was battling at that given point in my early stages. So other than seeing that this trade is going, for example, if I go into a trade, I'm risking, let's say 200. The moment I tap buy and then the price is retracing back to my stop loss, maybe I'm down negative, let's say 170. I could not, cut off that trade. I could be like, maybe it's going to do what? To retrace back up. So I could hold on with a blink of an eye, boom, I'm taken out. Maybe if you can relate with that and know that you have that problem, I will tell you what we can do so that you are able to, the objective is to make money. You need to be in the game for long. And for you to be in the game for long, you need money. So if you blow that money in a few trades, you can imagine how long it's going to take you again so that you can come up with the capital to do what? To again help you to purchase another account or deposit to a certain broker so that you can start off again. So the losses used to affect me on a bigger percentage or a portion because I could hold on to them for too long, other than cutting them early to at least even think quickly and change even bias. Another thing that I fought through was ego. Man, my ego was top notch. I used to have a PhD level ego. I always wanted to be right. Like there's no way this trade is going against me. I used to fight. I used to trust the that's why even now, but at least now I found a remedy to that, so I don't fear. So at least I found a way of cutting off my ego. So I will tell you that. So being right all the time was a big problem to me. Like it was an elephant in the room. Every single trade I used to take, I wanted it to be on the right. I wanted to be on the right side of the market, which was very impossible, right? Now, the moment I allowed ego to direct me on what I was doing in the market, the more I was being wrecked. You see, if at this point you feel like this trade has to, you want your will to be done and not the will of the market, that is the first step to failure. And this one actually weathered me down, right? So I used to, let's take an example. For example, if I'm selling and the price is now rising to my stop loss, I could not think of it going all the way to my stop loss. So other than cutting my losses short, I sell again. You see, it rises. Maybe I'm at negative 100. Other than closing that trade, I place another sell, risking maybe $100. If it retraces more, I press sell again because I'm thinking that the price is going higher to pick more sells so that it can now dump heavily lower. But by the end of the day, all the three trades go to a loss. So ego used to cloud my judgment. I could not think like an investor. Like I could not think like someone who is managing a state. I could think just like, I'm supposed to be right and being wrong is not right. Man, you not get that. So if you've done some books of economics, that is called sunk cost fallacy. You feel like because you've done so much, you've taken 1 hour analyzing the charts, you've taken your time, your energy, you've sacrificed everything the whole weekend. Then now when Monday comes, you feel like you are supposed to be right, like you cannot be wrong. So ego took everything from me, and I realized that by the end of it all, I was the one who was on the wrong side of the market. Now, maybe from what I've just said, you can feel whether you are in certain bracket. Are you letting ego to take control? Are you a guy who is not okay with cutting your losses early because you see the trade is not going as what you anticipated, and then you can change your buyers? Or you're that one guy who is sticking to that buyers from all the way? That is a problem of wanting your will to be done rather than the will of the market to be done. It's like somebody who is trading without a stop loss. How do you do that? Because this is a game of probabilities. So when you are trading without a stop loss, you're telling me you have certainty. You are sure the trade is going higher. You are sure the trade is going lower, and that is close to zero. Now, when I was analyzing the charts, now you see I'm trying to improve. Each and every stage I'm trying to be better. But I realized again, at one point, I was a gambler. It's a common name that you hear people use. But what does this really mean? I was one guy who wanted to get quick money and do other things and invest, but it did not even take 3 years that to happen, right? Why? Being a gambler, you act very impulsively. You are driven by your emotions, right? And you fear missing that trade, what we call FOMO currently. Okay? Or once you win, you are very excited. What do you do next? You want to go in again. I made $1,000. What if I go in again? I can make 2,000. If you make 2,000 and then you're like, I'm going back in again, I want more. But by the end of the day, you will realize that you are over risking and you are not following your rules, your set of rules. So you think because you made $500, if you go in again, you can make another 500 to make it $1,000. So you are supercharged by your emotions other than following your correct risk management and doing the right thing as you've been doing it. I never used to see it that way. All I wanted was, if I make a move, I get some profit, I want to go in immediately and also do what? Make more. But you see, this kind of mindset, leads you to very significant losses. And because most of the time the market is not going to favor that, because now you see, the first time probably you analyze the market and you realize that you have a setup, but now when you make profit, you are likely to act without enough data to support that idea to take that trade. And then now you don't think at that given point. It's like once you hit a stop loss and then you want to go in immediately, other than cooling down off and then reassessing the trade again and see what could have been the challenge. Personally, I never had that idea. I was just like, if I made profit, I'm supposed to be back in and get more. That took everything from me. And if you're in that stage now, you should know that if you make a loss or a win, you need to accept the outcome of that trade, assess that loss or win, and just wait for the next session or for the next day. The best thing you can do to avoid that is to find a session you are comfortable with, or you can take 2 trades a day. You can try to find one setup during London session, another setup during New York session. I'm talking about those two sessions because at least those two sessions we have volatility, right? Now, then I realized that what I was doing was wrong. Then now, fear crept in. You see now, if you are hit so much times because you're making profit, you're losing it again, making profits and losing it again. Now, I decided, now what I'll do, I will sit down and analyze these charts, tough, very careful, to the tip, to the, to the, ensuring that there's no data that is left outside. So I could look at the court data, I could look at the IBDA, I could look at the bar chart. I could go to bar chart and look at what we call the seasonal tendencies. You see, I could look at the weekly profiles, the daily profile. Like I could look at everything. Now, the problem of doing too much in these charts is if you become an analyst, you're seeking perfection other than seeking a probable trade. Listen to that. You're not here to perfect. You are here to find where we have higher probability for that setup to play out. Now, after realizing that I used to be going in and getting stopped a number of times, making profit, going in and losing everything in one trade again because I was being excited for the wins and going back in, but I realized that was not the case. So that thing lowered my self-esteem, and I realized now I need to sit down and analyze. And again, I realized that was again another problem. You see, analyzing too much, you will miss opportunities. Number two, or you will fear to press the button because you feel like you're likely to be stopped out again. So what do? Very nice setups will pass by and you will not even realize because you're so much focused on being right other than taking a probable trade, a higher probability trade. Right? Now, this led me to develop analysis paralysis, and I was super afraid of pressing the button, and sometimes I could end the whole day analyzing the charts, doing nothing. So later on, when you look at the charts, then you realize, man, so I was just doing too much, drawing trend lines, drawing support and resistance, and then that's why I like the approach of ICT. I know the PDRAs, so if I am seeing them, I can easily react from them. Are you getting that? Now, you see now I'm graduating from being a gambler to an analyst, which is now making me lose trades. In fact, the gambling part was even better for me. Then now, I got desperate. So what do? I went back to the gambling. My work is just to chase the bag. In whatever case, if I'm lucky, I can get something. If I'm not lucky, I go in again. But now, I developed another problem because I realized I developed a mind of being more a hero than being a trader, because when I used to get into so much stop losses, I also wanted to recover them quickly. Now let me break down this one so that you can see the aspect of heroism in me. Now, if I lose $300, I could go in again with a bigger lot size now, thinking that it will play on my or it will go on my direction so that I can overcompensate the loss that I took. You see? So taking too much risk, right? So that you can turn things around. That is, I realized I was more playing a hero than being a trader who is working within probabilities. You see that? So I am one guy at my younger age now who is super confused and wondering at what point then, or what am I missing now? I have tried to analyze, I have tried to go back in with bigger lot size to, I have tried to do this and that, things are not adding up. Which maybe some of you are of starting, you may be in one of those brackets. Either you're gambling or you're analyzing the charts too much, or you want to be the best, you want to show off, you come online and throw some good profits there. So once you make a loss, you want to go in to recover it the same time, because that is now emotional trading, which actually can destroy you and break you completely. So if you can assess yourself and see who are you among the three guys that I've talked about, the gambler in me, the analyst in me, the hero in me, who are you among us, the three guys. So now this is me, who has gone all those stages, and I'm now wondering, I've blown at this stage now. I've blown 2 accounts. It was one funded and one personal account. So it is crazy. I don't know now what to do. I don't have capital now. I don't have anything. Everything is gone. The girlfriend has left. Then you're left on a road that you don't know where it is headed. So I had to sit down and try to understand who exactly I am. So I came across an article that was talking about temperaments. The things that actually some of you might not even take them seriously, but the 4 temperaments, that is the melancholic, the choleric, the phlegmatic, the sanguine. If you can go study those character traits, you will know exactly who you are. Okay? When I read some articles, you realize that there's a higher probability. If you are not aware of yourself, you are not likely to change. I don't know whether you got that. If you are not aware of yourself, you are not likely to change, because you think that is who you are. And you cannot change what you don't acknowledge. So if you can acknowledge yourself that this to me, these are my character traits. Personally, I want to be perfect. I want to be alone. I want to, comfort, right? I don't want crisis. I just want to make peace with people. Such a kind of a phlegmatic person, or a choleric guy who is very ambitious, who is heroic, like I was. We are very quick to act. You see a breakup, boom, buy. You see an FG order block, we are selling. You see, very fast to do it. Once you learn the temperaments and see who exactly I am, what are my weaknesses and what are my strengths. If you can sit down and try to analyze who you are, you have a higher chance of making it alive in this trading or business. This one is something very minor, but when you go sit down and study the temperaments, you realize that you will be socially useful and you'll be useful in this business. So go study the weaknesses of the 4 temperaments and see where exactly who you are. Okay, you can even throw the comments in the comment section or in the X page, and then tell us who you are, so that you realize that if you can, once you realize this is me, and then you come to the charts, you are likely to make a better and informed decision than somebody who doesn't completely know who he or she is. Number one, I started to journal. This is one of the best things that helped me become who I am today. After going through all those series of ups and downs, now I decided to sit down and do what? Journal. Now, I used to journal with more passion the losing traits. Why? Because this is the trait that is now making me learn something. But if you make up, and most of the time, to be honest, you will know, we are likely to journal the trade that you made profit from than the one which is losing. And then let me ask you, which one is of more significant now? Because if you made profit, you know what you followed and it went through. But if you made a loss, then this is the point now when you are supposed to sit and analyze those trades and learn from them, because mistakes can reoccur. The only way you can avoid those mistakes in the future is by knowing that you have a track, okay? So that you have a stable emotional and psychological state of the mind, so that if this such a kind of instances occur again, you are able to act in a manner that is now cautious than what you did in earlier. Review your journals, and in weekends or in any when you are traveling, review your journals, because I learned more from journals. So in my second year in the trading field, I started to journal. So you can imagine it's been 7 years. Each and every single day, once I'm done, the moment I'm done with my trade, sometimes I'm journaling as the other trades are running. When I'm making adjustments, all this, I'm recording the emotions or I'm feeling. Sometimes people can tell you journaling is not important, but my friend, don't listen to people who come from a different geographical area, who have opportunities at their doorstep, people who have inheritance. What do you have? You have nothing. If you listen to ICT carefully, you realize that one of the biggest weapon to conquer the markets is journaling. That is where you polish your mistakes and you become a better person. Okay. Then number 2, I started to be accountable. I hate to. Accountability is when you know that some culture trades, for example, you try to, ensure that whatever that happened in the market, you are responsible for everything, because you are the one who pressed the button. Either the outcome is a profit or a loss. So I'm trying to assume some trades like, that's a loss, that's a win or something, and walk and then wait. That is very unhealthy. Always talk to yourself and manage your trades accountably without leaving some information out. If you made a mistake, know that, just note down that I lost this trade because I did 1, 2, 3. As you grow into the business, you realize that journaling will be one of the best things that you can do, and it makes you accountable, right? Then number 3, I decided to be mindful. I realized that sometimes I could be hit so hard and I have no one to run to. So what do you do other than over risking, over trading, now breaking the rules? You can pause. Just you can have your break of a day or 2 days. If it's worst, go for a week. You see, the markets are here. It is you who is losing money. So if you cannot slow down, there is a higher chance that you are going to make more bigger mistakes, which is likely to break you completely now. So if there's something that you can take off this episode is try to understand who you are. That is the objective of this first volume. Understand who you are. Understand, are you that guy who's, if you call your girlfriend and she doesn't pick, you are now sweating, the veins are appearing on your face and your forehead? Are you such a kind of a guy? Yeah? Because the way you live in general, just check out yourself. Know who you are. You will shorten your learning curve once you master who you are. Now you know the patterns. Now you know everything. Fair value gaps, order blocks. Then what is limiting you from doing what? Being profitable. Either you are over trading or you are emotionally broken. You are too much, attached to the trade. You wanted it to go to your playing the hero character so that you can come and post some profits on X. No. Understand and master who you are as a person. Once you master the inner battlefield, then you know how you to navigate the markets. I'm sure by the end of it all, it might sound like a story, but that is how I was able to conquer myself. Nowadays, you see, I'm no longer an analyst. I'm no longer a gambler. I'm no longer a hero. What I do, you see me drawing one line and a box. Just one line and a box. My charts are always clean, and you can always attest to that. So let us embrace knowing who we are. That is the first stage. Guys, allow me pause at this point as we continue to the second volume, then we will break everything down. So today we were just talking about ourselves, you as a person, what happened, how I used to do things, what made me move a notch higher to know, to be different other than the person who I was in my early stages. So those are the kind of a person I was, and that is the way I was able to improve on myself. So hopefully you found some 1-2 points from this episode as we head to episode 002. Until next time, be safe.